Call the meeting to order. It's 6:03, and we'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, this is the March 6th Design Review Board. We've got a relatively short agenda, and I'll just go ahead and we'll introduce everybody will introduce themselves.
Well, not in front of my nameplate. I'm Carl Hayes.
Tim Bryan.
I'm Perry Mason.
Steve Check.
Marty Littleton.
Okay, and the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the January action minutes. We do not have a quorum here from that, so we're going to push that till next month to approve those minutes. The next item on the agenda is the demolition reviews. If somebody's here to represent that.
Yes, they are. Larry Watts?
Yeah, I'm here. I am.
Okay.
How you doing? I'm Pat Dawson, Southern Environmental Services.
Okay.
We got two little houses up on Hopewell Road, single story. Turned in all the paperwork and everything. Just need approval of knocking down.
And the property is zoned.
Yeah, there's a set of plans and everything. Everything
Okay.
was turned in today. I have another set here if you want to look at it.
Okay.
There's a subdivision going in and stuff now.
Right.
I guess these two little houses are at the end of a road or something in the subdivision. I don't know a lot about it. Larry's been handling it, and unfortunately he got stuck in South Georgia, so I got sent up here to fill in, so you guys know about as much about it as I do.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with it. I drive by it a lot, and I know the builder, Tom Sharp, good builder. I think it's just right at the end of that road.
Yeah,
So these are going to tie in with that neighborhood that's behind the lots there?
Well, these homes actually fronted on Hopewell, and
They did, right.
and they're in the middle of, or maybe straddling lot lines, and they're just old homes that need to go to build homes on those lots. I guess my question is, do you have your demolition permit, or are you waiting on that?
That's what we're waiting for, demolition permit. We turned everything in today, or actually I dropped it off, and I guess there's some kind of approval you guys have to give or something.
Yep. I think we have to approve the demolition, and then you get the permit. Is that accurate?
Right.
Okay.
I hate to seem like I'm ignorant.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's-
just got thrown on my lap at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
I think I've always been surprised why they weren't demolished about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So it's, they're,
That's all I can tell you about it, guys. There's two little houses that won't take very long.
Yeah, I've seen them.
All the permits, everything's in order. The rat letter and the asbestos and everything else has been taken care of.
you are the contractor?
I work for the company.
You work for the contractor, okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the demolition?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the demolition of the property at 12852 Hopewell and 12860 Hopewell Road.
Second.
Okay, we've got a second. Is there any more discussion we need up here?
No, I thought this already been approved in December.
Evidently not. So maybe it was a courtesy
I think
review.
it got deferred
Did it?
at that time.
Okay. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So it's a unanimous decision to grant the permit?
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the courtesy review for V12-002 for 3499 Bethany Bend for the Bethany Summit, and the request is to allow units to be both for sale and for lease.
Is there a percentage?
Yeah.
Gordon Jones, 125 Andover Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia, on behalf of Bethany Bend Summit. Is there a question?
Do you have a percentage of rentals to owner-occupied?
There currently is, and we're trying to change that to 100% rentals if need be. We're going to try to sell them first, though.
So this, well, first of all, I think that this is you're requesting a zoning variance. Is that correct?
Yes, because that's correct, yeah.
And so, wouldn't don't you need to go in front of the zoning board to get that
We're on the
variance?
way there. This is a courtesy review.
Okay. So you're trying to go from the idea is to sell them, and if you can't sell them, you want to be able to rent them.
Yeah, because we're just unable to get financing for condominiums. You know, these are for seniors, of course, but, so we feel like if we have a backup plan where we can at least rent them out, lease them out to seniors, still in
Right.
that senior zone, we'll have a better chance of getting financing for this. We really want to get this off the ground.
Sure.
Are you, would you sell the units and then the
No,
owner
if
would
we-
lease them, or you would lease them? So it'd be more
If we
like
sell
a-
them, they'll be owner occupied at that point. And which, our original goal was 80% owner occupancy.
So you'd be the owner and rent them?
Until they sold, that's correct. Yeah. They'd still be condominiumized, so they'd be individual units trying to sell them.
This may sound really stupid, but are these going to be individually metered, gassed, and wherever the utilities are individual to each unit?
Just like, the only difference between this and the Orchard product is that these are stacked.
Okay.
And is there, while we're discussing it, is there demand for that type of housing right now, considering all the ones over off of the west side of the Parkway, I guess?
Oh, you mean the rentals that are in there?
Right. Is it-
That's what we really don't know. I mean, we know there's a demand for senior housing because Milton we don't have any.
Right.
Here that I'm aware of, outside of the Orchards up on Highway 9. And I know we have an initiative where people can grow old in place, without having to move away to another city. So we believe there's a built-up demand. We believe there is.
This is, you have assisted living facility, or is it just they have their own kitchen and they take care of themselves?
Yeah, it's totally independent
So,
living. It's just blocked off at 55 and up.
And what's the average square footage?
Probably around 1,100 square feet.
So they're like 2 and 3 bedrooms, or?
Yeah, they're 2-bedroom.
Okay.
They might have a sunroom in addition.
Okay.
Typically, they're going to be 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Would the maintenance be an association then? So they would pay their association, or you would still be managing the association since you're the owner?
Until we were out of the picture, yes.
Okay.
The primary goal is to build these and sell these. That's been our goal, and we're approved to do that. But our consideration at this moment, the reason why we are here is because what if we can't sell these? What if it takes a while to sell these things and we go under with the project? We don't want to go under with the project. And so if we at least put somebody, a senior, in these things, even if it's leased, we're still doing what we planned on doing, which is provide senior housing, and then sell it as we can.
Would you build just one building at a time then?
Yeah, the original intention here is to build the primary building, which is a small one.
The number 3?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then proceed with one of the other 2 buildings as that one. We would know, pretty quickly how it's going to do. So the housing does seem to be rebounding a little bit. The Milton project, what's that one with 39 houses over on Highway 9? They've sold about 14 homes so far. They just opened mid-December. So there seems to be a spring back on houses.
I have a question for you. Where you've got your land lot, where we got the building laid out for buildings 1 and 2, would you take and grass those areas to where they're at least grassed and grass is cut? And
I haven't considered that.
because it would be more like an amenity to building number 3 until you get to the point you build a building.
Yeah, because we have to actually develop the whole surface, to put our first building up, right?
Right. I know in one of the developments I was in that we took our sewer pipes,
Yeah.
instead of having plastic caps, put metal galvanized caps, put 8 inches under the ground. We go back and take a meter and read them. So we capped off everything underground, and then we grassed it.
We're not opposed to making it look good. And all these units have underground parking, under unit parking.
Okay.
That's nice.
So they're not actually going to be, pads sitting there ready to go because they're actually going to be dug.
Right. I was just looking at that. I didn't want to see a big hole or the pipes, another pipe farm.
Yeah, I don't.
Right.
We'll look at that. I don't want it to look like that either, because we have to sell these units.
Right.
I don't think that's attractive to.
You've gone through zoning?
We went through zoning 2
in-
years ago in the fall.
Okay, so you've got your appropriate zoning, correct?
Oh, yes.
And site plan approval, you've done a site plan approval, so how far along are you in the permitting process to
Well,
build these?
we've had this thing on hold, as you know, this was the fall of 2008.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a permit, or are you close to a permit?
No, we haven't applied for a permit.
Okay, so have you designed your buildings?
We're not at that extent yet. The primary thing was, can we even make this thing work? Before we
Okay,
start pouring
so
money
you've
into
got
it.
your zoning, you've got site plan approval, and you're waiting kind of to figure out, okay, can you lease these, and then moving forward with your design of the building, doing your civil designs and what have you.
If we can lease these in addition to selling these, we're going to do that.
I trust you've already talked with zoning, and they've said, well, you can't do that, so you got to go through a process of appeal. Is that why you're here?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, it was a different time then.
Yeah.
It was 2008.
No, recently, you've talked
Not
with them?
recently. We brought this to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals
Okay.
from the 2008 zone.
It's more of a zoning thing than really a design review.
Yeah,
You know,
this
I
is
trust
just a
that when you go through your design, you may be back to talk to us about building colors or landscaping or what have you, but it's more of a zoning.
Yeah, I don't know that the overlay, this section they've given us really gets into the allocation of rentals versus ownership at that specific of a level. So, yeah, the zoning board would have to.
And if I might add, that's why he's going to the BZA,
Yeah.
is because it was conditioned on condos. The zoning took place, and he's asking for a change to that condition, so he must go to the
Is that,
BZA.
is that a different zoning category, or is it just a variance to the
Well,
current
it
zone?
was, when it was zoned, it was that you can attach conditions to the zoning. and
Okay.
that was when the conditions attached. So he now needs to go to the BZA and prove a hardship to change that condition of zoning from sale of condos to lease. And as a result of going to the BZA, it comes through here as a citizen review. Now, you're right, it has nothing to do with design in a sense,
At this point.
but it's just the process.
Yeah, sure.
I guess my question, I trust that you being the owner and wanting to lease these out, you have a vested interest to keep it up and, make sure that the values of them, if you ever do want to try and sell them after you've leased them, is going to be there.
We're trying to limit our risk
Yeah.
factor, and a lot of people expose themselves a little too much. Some of you know folks that have done that, and we don't want to be one of those that do that. So we have a 20% to 80% ratio of rent versus ownership, and we're just asking to change that so we can get these things built and have a fallback to lease these things out more than 20% if we have to.
I think in this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think in this marketplace, and I think that if you already own the land and it's vacant land sitting there, that as long as the grounds were kept up and that landscaping was done, so you just don't have a field with rock and crap piled to the right of it, and you got this pretty building over here. I wouldn't personally have a problem with it, but
Yeah, and I think if there's demand, then you should be fine. But yeah, you build the first building, you're gonna, it's gonna work into your favor to keep the aesthetics and the rest of the property until you go to the next.
And hopefully we'll be able to build all these very quickly and get them all done.
Yeah.
Get them sold.
So
The seniors.
the process kind of starts with us and goes to the zoning board of appeals,
Yes,
and then we go to city council?
No. It stops at the Board of Zoning Appeals. And that, their decision is appealable, but it's appealable to the Superior Court. It does not go to the City Council.
has the city council ever put any type of limits on rentals on new projects within our city so far?
That's a question I don't know the answer to. I just don't have an institutional memory.
Okay.
If I can add to that, it's actually in the code. That's why it ended up like that.
It's in the code, so it's 20% is the number?
That's
It's in the code?
It's in the
Okay.
city code, Article
Well, obviously, this municipality, like so many others, we all have to be, considerate of what the economy really is and what we can do. And obviously, our job and the job of the municipality is to make sure that these buildings somewhere 20 years down the line don't end up looking like, being a housing project or some kind of project that we got to take and deal with at some later point. So that would be my only concerns and my thoughts.
If he does get the zoning variance, then he'll end up back in front of us when it comes time for the aesthetics of the project, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're only making a motion that we would have no problem with him increasing his percentage of rental to owner occupants in this building.
That's correct.
Do we need
That
to-
is the issue before.
Do we need to make a motion on courtesy review?
I don't think so, on courtesy.
Yeah, I don't think we make a
Courtesy, I
motion.
don't think so.
Do any of you guys have problems with it? I mean, I'm just,
No. It's up to the zoning board, but.
but as far as our board's concerned, I mean,
No problem
obviously,
here.
if we were in the same boat as any
Yeah,
individual,
no, I was, yeah.
we would be wanting to, it should be unconstitutional to hold us back from
Yeah.
being able to use our facility.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
And I understand your point with the financing too, because, so that's a valid concern. So,
Got my support.
Well, you know what, it may be cleaner if you just voted, because
Okay.
the second one, there is a design issue, so I think even though they're courtesy reviews, if you can officially send forward to the BZA, I think that's.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion to approve the increased rental to owner occupancy, to not have a limit.
we need to put some criteria in there.
Or to send it on to the zoning.
Right, but I
If
guess,
we're making a motion, we need all the criteria that we're making that motion upon, the aesthetics, otherwise it's just,
because I understand that the static part of it comes back to us anyway,
It will.
and that's a different
Yeah.
vote.
It will.
So right now, all we're doing is saying that if he wants to increase his owner, least proportion to owner occupancy, whatever that level may ultimately end being, as far as he meets all the other categories of rules that are needed to be met,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have a problem with his increase of leased to owner occupant.
right.
That's correct.
Okay.
What was the percentage you're asking for again?
Up to 100.
100%. I hope never to have to use that.
Yeah.
Obviously, want to sell these units.
Well, the real money's not in renting it for you. I mean, the real money's in getting it and selling it.
We don't want to be landlords. That's not the point. We just don't want to lose everything.
Right.
Just, how many other properties have you done like this?
This is my first one in here. I'm also the pastor of Founding Faith Worship Center in the area. I'm also the qualifying broker of Jones Brokers Commercial Real Estate. So I do a lot of tenant repping and investor repping and stuff in that nature. This deal, I went back to my family. My family's developers out of Vancouver, Canada, and then into California. And about 5 years or so ago, I said, I want to get into the family business. And so they said, well, let's look for a project out in Atlanta. And so after a lot of research, I said, we want to go toward the baby boomers. 81 million baby boomers that started turning 61 a couple of years ago. Let's build something for them. So that's where we ended up doing this. So there's a lot of experience on the other side. We own a lot of, my family owns a lot of stuff in California, tall buildings, Fresno, where the IRS is the big tenant there, orange groves, different things like that. So this is our first project out here. I'm a little new at it personally. I'm not new on the real estate side. I do a lot of real estate every single day from the brokerage standpoint. But from the developing, we have a strong arm in my family, which is my partner on this deal.
Yeah, I think the zoning board may go to a number between 20% and 100. They may end up at 50 or they may end up at whatever, but that's kind of their purview, so.
That would be them, yeah.
Yeah. So we need a second.
I second that.
Okay, so we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Corey, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck for sure. All right, the next item on the agenda is V12-003, 2303 Northwood Drive and 103 Sable Point Drive, a request to allow a fence to encroach into the right-of-way.
Yes, hi, my name is Greg Tinker. Alderman May.
We represent the board of the Single Family Home Association, and what we are trying to achieve here with this variant request is a 4-poster rail, black horse-style farm fence, standard 5-quarter board, basically 5 inch wide, 8 inch thick, 4 rails, 4x6 posts, 8-foot difference, go along the sidewalk that is currently on the main entrance at 23, well, at Northwood Drive entrance. The variant request is the existing fence we've taken down because it's blocked and it was white, and it was a 3-rail fence. It wasn't very attractive. It was built 15 years ago. So we decided as a board member to take that fence down and put in the standard horse-style farm fence of Milton City. The problem came in to be when we actually did request we didn't request a variance first, and then the permit, because we found the existing fence, we were just going to revisit the existing fence. Then the application stopped work because they saw the lines, and then that's when we got notified that we had to put in a permit because we're making work. Didn't realize we had to do that, but so we did that, and in doing so, we went ahead and extended the fence all the way down the sidewalk. And the sidewalk you'll see on the first entrance of Northwood Drive. The problem is there's a, I wouldn't call it a ravine, but there's a significant drop, at least 15 feet on where the ground goes down and the road was built up many years ago on Northwood Drive. And the sidewalk goes outside or inside the right-of-way, and just past the sidewalk, there might be 2 feet, maybe 2 feet max before you go into the ravine. And we're wanting to put the fence right on the edge of that drop-off so that it can be seen and attractive.
And safety, also safety issue. You don't want somebody walking on the sidewalk at night, not seeing it. You would seriously get hurt if you fall down there.
The same is true on the other entrance at, and I forget the name of it, there's an entrance in Staplewood, Center Point Drive. That entrance, there's no ravine or anything, on the encroachment of the easement. We're going to put the fence right in front of the fence post, inside the very either way on that side.
Sorry. I'm new to this, forgive me.
So yeah, on the Stable Point Drive, the same concept. We want to kind of keep it identical to Northwood Drive, though you can't see the 2 entrances. They're quite a number of miles apart, about 3 miles apart.
We want to keep the neighbors happy that you
Yeah.
improve the entryway to one part of the subdivision and not the other.
Exactly.
We got an issue.
We want to do it on both sides.
Completely understand.
This thing kind of meanders on lots and then the right of way,
Now
the fence line.
the fence line will be on the easement of our covenant rules. With respect to going on another person's property, I don't think it does.
Not on anyone else's.
No.
Well, it does show it on these lots, and I don't see a landscape or a fence easement on the lots. I mean, I think my point is, have you talked to to those owners? Do they know that
We
they've got a
have.
fence coming?
Yeah, we spoke to the owners and we've gotten their approval as well. Matter of fact, you'll notice if you drove by, especially on the Sable Point Drive, they're wanting to put a fence up. You probably saw them with a few boards and a string ran on that side. We've asked them to hold tight until we talk to you guys and see if we can get approval for our fence. We would much rather have our fence, the 4-rail style, rather than their privacy fence. But we can't forbid them not to have a privacy fence because that's just, someone else has a neighborhood, they gotta be able to have that right.
We offered them to tie in their back fence to the front fence there.
Yeah.
They could use our fence, we're paying for the fence to go up. So we're saying you can use our fence for one side of your property.
Yeah.
Right.
And tie on to
Yeah.
it.
I think my point was, unless you have some type of easement that is either re-recorded over the plat, and you get, the homeowner to say, fine, you can put it up there. I mean, there may be another homeowner that comes later on and says, well, I don't like it, I can take it off because it's on my property.
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can get a written, we have verbal commitments on that and email commitments on that. I can have a letter written and have them sign it and notarize it.
You'd have to get an easement.
You have to get an easement. I mean, I would think that you
I
would
didn't think
need.
it was on their property.
Well, I guess we need to.
No,
reevaluate that.
I studied the plans that you give us, and it does show that it kind of goes on the lots and then it goes into the right of way. It kind of meanders its way along
So,
that property
I'll
line.
just take just a moment. Can you show me what you're referring
Sure,
to there? Because what
yeah.
we'll do is we'll just move the fence where it's in our easement. I mean, that's a simple solution.
Okay, show me where the easement is. I don't see it.
I'll have to come up here. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, and let's,
See, they're showing, I guess this is your survey, it says 3 foot behind the right of way, which is this line right here, which is this lot line.
correct.
And this is a lot. I don't see an easement there.
Well, we're putting it right on the city line. The city line is the telephone poles. So the telephone poles go right down the sidewalk on this side?
No, I understand this, but it says 3 foot behind right of way.
Okay, that was he sent you this, the 3 foot right of way.
9.5 feet behind right of way.
Now, the 9.5 foot right behind right of way, this is the existing fence. So see where this is at, 9.5 foot back? This is actually the existing white fence we just took down. The new fence actually is going to be this one starting right here. It's going to be starting where the telephone lines are.
Okay, is this the new fence? I didn't even see an old
Yeah, it's
fence.
a new-
Yeah, well, we cut it down. All you
Okay,
see now is a
it-
stub, a 4x6
Is
post
this,
sticking
is this
up.
the new fence?
It is.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
it says 6 foot behind right of way.
It does say that.
Okay, and then this one here says on right of way. So it's either in the right of way
Okay.
or it's on somebody's
What we'll
property.
do is we'll actually move this one to where it's actually on the right of way.
Hey, guys, you know what'd be cheaper for you to do?
What's that?
You got one attorney,
Yeah.
get these 2 lots right here,
And just
get an
do an
easement for the
easement.
2 lots, then you record those easements to the lots, or give them
Yeah.
to the homeowner association, specifically for the fence.
It's easy.
And that will be the legally correct way for y'all to do this, so that nobody gets into any kind of trouble.
Well, what about this down through here? This is the one that we.
Well,
we're
that's a
okay with
different
that?
issue.
Okay, so we have two
I mean,
different issues here.
Well, I mean, the right of way is an encroachment into the city's property.
Oh, I got you. So I understand the differential now.
And see, on the encroachment on the city's part of it here, is the city gave you the right to go onto their right of way. They have 2 problems. One is they're setting a precedence that's easy to do, and that means that somebody has a defensible
Right.
position somewhere else down the line, okay? And the reason cities don't want to do that technically is because if you put a fence on our right of way and we have to improve our road, for whatever reason we tear your fence down, then you come to us and say, you have to put the fence back. And that's what the city doesn't want, is to be
Okay, right.
responsible.
And can we put a clause on there so we'll take that burden? We'll take that risk. If you guys got to take the fence down, so be it.
That's a legal thing, that's not me about.
You know, have you talked with Public Works or, roads and drainage about an encroachment easement?
No, they did the city council, the city permit office told us that we just had to file the variance with you guys.
Well, the variance goes with the Board of Zoning Appeals. You're just having the concept of the location and design of your fence reviewed by this group tonight.
Right. For suggestions or,
I see. So well then, I guess my question is, if I were to move the fence, if I move the fence off of your easement, now the fence is going to be 30 feet high because of the the huge gaping, ravine. So.
I think that's why they sent you to the BZA, because it's a hardship.
Right, yeah, it's a hardship.
Yes. So that's where you're going. So you're heading there. You're just stopping through the DRB at this point before you go on to the BZA.
That'll be the
You
next,
wanna go
another
down to this,
meeting.
We gotta go to another meeting.
That'll be another meeting after.
You want to go down to the podium?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
We'll give you a chair.
All right. So.
I'm not making this too complicated.
No, I think
It's
it's-
complicated.
I think we just need to give them these suggestions, is what they need to do. And,
Okay.
I mean, that's our job on this, right, is to courtesy review.
Bottom lines, they need to have
Yeah.
an attorney do the easements,
I
and
agree.
record the easements.
That meeting, we got the letter that said the next meeting's on the 20th, I guess.
I looked at it today, and I hear what you're saying, because it does slope down drastically.
I've looked at it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I walked down
That's
there.
what we're talking
Yeah, I mean, I know where I saw your lines and your posts and everything, and I kind of agree with what you're doing, but I think you're kind of going on to somebody's private property and doing this without either having permission, perpetual permission. I mean, that there's an easement there in
I don't,
perpetuity.
yeah, we can get that legally done. That's outside of the concern of
But,
this committee. But I
well,
get
the
it.
right-of-way is another one, because you're inside of the right-of-way of the city. And there are right-of-way use agreements that you can go and talk to Public Works or Roads and Drainage about, and I don't know if they've got that mechanism where you can encroach. But to me, I think you're really kind of a little early in the process. You haven't kind of gone down that road of how we encroach into a right-of-way, what happens if the city has to go back and fix something, broken curb, do a road widening, I don't know, I mean, just something down the road, and there's a fence in that right-of-way. I would
If
think
they
that,
had to do any of that, then they'd take up all the sidewalks, all that has to come up anyway, and that, the fence in the scheme of things is cheap.
yeah, I know what you mean, but the sidewalks are owned by the city, okay? And the least amount of stuff in the right-of-way is better, if there is something that goes on in the future. I see what you're saying, and I like it. I like where you're kind of going, but I think it's part of it is there a mechanism that allows that type of use within the city for a right-of-way encroachment? And there are right-of-way encroachment agreements that are done all the time.
So do you think we would get a hardship approval, or do you think we need, for just this variance? Now, the other things we'll take care of.
I didn't see, I haven't studied this enough to know if there's a water line there, if you're on top of a water line. I don't think you are, but I haven't studied
No,
enough.
the water line is there. It's right on the sidewalk, actually had the paint stripe to the water line. So the sidewalk is on top of the water line.
Through the middle.
Yeah. So so the sidewalk has to come up. water
So
line
if, when's the zoning meeting? It's this month?
first. 20th.
So I mean, what's their drawback to going to that, hearing what the zoning board's got to say? They might say, green light, go right
I
ahead.
think I have to go to that, right? Yeah. I have to.
But to be prepared for them is
The
you go to an
easements.
attorney and get the easements done, and so you have your easements,
Yeah.
and then you've knocked one of your problems out, so nobody needs to discuss that. Then you go back and you can discuss the hardship of, I've got a 30-foot high fence if I build it on our right-of-way, and then we've got all this area that's gonna be a drop, and somebody could potentially walk over that way and fall down in between the fence. I mean, but always bear in mind that the city's worried about their liability and their expense to the fence at a later date.
Yeah,
So,
and I guess we could, we don't mind drafting a letter, have it notarized, we don't want the city to worry about the fence. If you gotta take it down, fine, we'll take it down. The fence is cheap compared to everything else around here. We just want to do it for aesthetic purposes, to bring more value to the neighborhood.
that might be part of your verbiage in your variance, to be able to put it
Oh,
there.
yeah, we're happy with that, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. All right, and with respect to the other variance request, well, not the variance request, but the other thing that you suggested, do we have to get the lawyers engaged, or could we just have a letter drafted for the
No, you need to get a
fence?
lawyer to draft an easement on these two properties. There'll have to be a survey done of the two properties. They'll have to mark it, and it will have to be recorded. Then it's gonna be recorded on all the records that we have, public records. Then it will be all recorded. The homeowner would get a copy of it. I would assume that everybody would have, it's almost like going to a closing.
So it'd be easier just to move the fence and put it on the line.
Well, then you're asking for more encroachments into the right. The proper way to do it is to put it on private property.
Right.
It really is. I mean, that's the way it's usually done. Rarely do you put it in the right of way.
Well, what about, where's the?
If you
could we
go
put it
back
on
to
the
the
line
subdivision-
between the two?
What's that?
Could we put it on the line?
Well, my question is, if the homeowners already agreed to it, you'd think that they would be more
What's
than
the
happy to
cost?
cooperate.
We're a small subdivision, we don't,
We're not talking about a huge
Yeah, you're
cost.
really not. I mean,
Surveys are $1,000 apiece.
No, they're not.
3 or 4 properties.
You-
I just had my property surveyed, it cost me $900.
Well, you're going to the wrong surveyor, but it's surveying a lot that's already just like this for this encroachment. I'd suggest that you probably shouldn't spend more than about $250 per
Seriously?
survey to get them done.
Can I get it?
If you have a problem with it,
Yeah.
remember my name, call me, and I'll find you somebody.
Oh,
But
that'd be great, yeah.
Right.
Well,
But
my
it's-
brother and I both paid well over that.
you know,
but I think what he's saying is the proper way to do this for you guys, for your homeowner association, is to get permission, record an easement. But what you're saying is we don't want to go through that we'll put it all on the right of way, which I think we're saying
Not on the
that
right
if
way,
you.
but on the line, there's a line.
Well, I mean, you'd have to have a really, really good surveyor to get it right on the line. And that line is owned by somebody. It's not, it's either the right of way or it's not.
Yeah, but,
One of the things you may want to look at is that when you have a homeownership, like a homeowner association like you have, now when I developed, I always put inside my homeownership, the homeowner association, a right of usage space at the front of every lot. And it's inside that agreement that they signed, which is attached to the deed. If you already have that, then you don't have to do that. All you're gonna have to do is place the fence on the survey.
Okay, all right, well, then we'll check that out, maybe a little savings there. Because our budget
I
is
like
tight.
the fence. I think the fence is gonna look great in front of your communities. It's gonna look fantastic. I think it's kind of a heads up. You don't want any problems going down the road where,
Right.
somebody comes in and they go, I'm gonna paint it or do whatever,
Right,
take
right.
it out.
Exactly, no, I hear you, all right, thank you very much.
I mean, do we vote on something?
I don't think there's anything to vote on,
No,
really.
is there? Is there a vote here? or-
No.
Did you want to make a vote? Did you want to send something to the BZA in terms of a recommendation?
I think it's still so cloudy right now that without having the proper easement on the homeowners' lots at the beginning, you don't have a whole lot we can vote on until they have the right to give us something to vote on. Because we don't really have a right to vote on putting a fence on somebody else's property.
Okay, now, just so we're clear on this, though, this variance request is only on the encroachment of the right-of-way, right? Nothing else, right?
Yeah,
So we're just
I-
voting on that, right?
I don't know what the BZA application looks like, sir.
So I've got to address the other item, I agree, but the issue in front of this committee is just the variant issue, correct?
No, that the variance is going to the BZA. What the design review board reviews is design. And so
Okay.
they're just giving a courtesy review to the Board of Zoning Appeals in terms of any design issues being on the
Okay.
location or the design of the fence. That's all. You need to go and get your variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Very good, all right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
On the item of design with Bill here, Bill, that ordinance that y'all talked about the last meeting with the fencing ordinance, did it say specifically white fences? Oh, I thought I had read that it said white
Gave
fences.
the option of black, dark brown,
Okay.
and white.
Okay. And that wouldn't apply in this existing type of neighborhood anyways, right?
It's on a public right.
It's on the public right of way.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to put one up, but it's not requiring like neighborhoods like mine, for instance, doesn't have one currently. We
No.
wouldn't have to put one up after the order,
No,
okay.
only if you wanted to put one up.
Okay.
And it was on the public right of way. You would have to do
Okay.
a 3 or 4 board fence, white.
Right, so at least that's consistent with this ordinance, so
By the way, does that mean?
they coincide.
When you say when it's on the public right-of-way, does that mean on the on the, public-owned property, or is
No, it just means it's fronting on.
facing the community, facing the
Street.
public road?
That's right, that's right.
What if the homeowner wanted to put it up?
You have so many feet from the center line of the road
30.
into the property, so it will go beyond the street, beyond the sidewalk. And what that's really meant for is utility use.
Right.
And the homeowner can't say anything about the city or municipality going over there and digging that up to fix something that's on the property. That's the purpose of it.
Well, the reason I asked that question is because we have another issue where the homeowner right now is wanting to put up the second house, matter of fact, on this street, Sable Point Drive. Either when this fence gets approved or denied, then he puts up his private fence, which will face the public, and it's gonna be a ugly privacy fence. But we can't stop him because it's his property.
Do you have a
have to get a
homeowners
permit.
association?
Yeah, we are.
You could deny it.
Can't deny it because we've set a precedence, and it's allowed in our covenant rules that any
Okay.
homeowner can have a privacy fence.
Okay.
We can't deny
They had to get a
him
permit
of
for
the
that, yeah.
neighborhood.
They'd have to get a city permit for that, right?
I don't know it as well. I mean, would that have to be
You'll have to go
permitted?
get a fence permit and we'll sort it through it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the stopper there, is
Yeah.
they're gonna have to get a fence permit. Okay.
If you're all, did you want to make a vote on this or?
I think really, we just wanna recommend the easement and I mean, we just got a couple of recommendations to make, so I don't think we really need to vote.
Nope.
All right. Well, I'd like like to move on if I could.
Sure.
We have a gentleman here who would like permission. He represents Tide Cleaners, and I believe he's been before your board before, but he would like to come back. And he feels that he needs to come back for another review before he goes to the planning commission. I'm unaware of this. Robert McDonald, our staff, who does deal with the rezonings, did not advise me on this, but the gentleman is here, and he would like to address you, and he does have some concerns, so if you don't have any objection, I'd like to ask him to come forward.
Sure.
Come on up.
Sure. Come forward, please.
Hi, I'm Alex Munoz. I'm the architect on the project. I was here, I guess, 3 months ago or so. Got full approval on the project. We then got a land disturbance permit. My client was ready to close on the property. And legal counsel required a letter of zoning. So Robin did some research, and they determined that the current zoning, which is MIX, classifies that property. You can have service, industry, and retail, but so you can do the card changing place that's over there in the corner, but that it was better defined under C1. So even though we had a land disturbance permit, we needed to rezone it to C1, essentially on a technicality. So we've started the process, and part of this process, you come to design review board, so I was told be here on the 6th, I guess to tell you that I'm already approved. So I'm going to take the opportunity. There is, as part of the design that we did, we had a canopy in front of the building. And Tide has I guess there's a little canopy that was up here in front. And Tide would like to request that that canopy be changed to their orange corporate logo. It's a small canopy above 3 windows, and that would be the only change. I'm just taking the opportunity to say, okay, how would you guys consider that, since I'm being back?
May I ask if you have a picture showing the orange logo?
It used to be orange. Why can't you change it?
Actually, I have a picture of
Originally it was
a
orange.
previous building that was built very similar to what we're doing. It's a little canopy above the windows.
What's the location of this? What's the location of this?
It's right in front of the Aldi grocery store.
Okay. Across from
Highway
Target.
9.
It's an out parcel?
There's the logo up right there.
I have a question,
Yeah,
and I got a little confused there.
yeah, definitely.
So you're just asking for an orange canopy? Okay, but what happened with the zoning issue?
Well, this is a stepping stone as part of zoning. Is one of the requirements is to come back to DRB.
No, I think I was confused. You found out that the use for the dry cleaner was not appropriate for the site?
Well, I didn't. Robin did.
The use because he wants to clean the clothes at the site.
Yeah.
So therefore, just for retail, we collect the clothes and then return them cleaned. That was allowed in the zone, which is a mixed-use zone. Because the applicant, the owner, the proposed owner, wants to clean the clothes in-house, he needs to apply for a rezoning
Okay,
to allow that.
Got it.
That would be a C1.
got it.
So he's in the queue, he's in the process.
Got it.
Okay? So that's where he is.
I got it.
Even though it's backwards because I've already gotten everything else approved.
Is the roof orange?
No, that's a different building. The building that we presented to you has a straight
Do you have
line.
that building? Let me just hold it up.
Yeah, if the roof's not orange, it's a big
That
difference.
only shows the county. The county we're talking about is this right here.
Okay.
So.
Does it have your logo on there?
So the Tide logo,
On there too?
No, we just want to change the color of that to orange.
is the Tide logo, has it been approved?
Well, that would be a sign permit.
Has it been approved?
No, typically you don't get that sign permit for that.
Right. And we can't legislate what goes on the sign or the color, we can just legislate the
Awning.
size.
Right.
But, so you're saying that you just want to change this to orange? That's all you're looking to do?
Yes. The rest of the building has already been approved, and the landscaping and everything.
If the,
You know, thinking of that strip mall, there were a number of different colors there, right? I think there's some,
You got several different awnings on
Yeah.
the building behind it that are different colors.
yeah.
so originally, so you're, right now you're approved for a green awning, is that?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's what we originally submitted and got approved.
And how did that, okay, so that was just approved, the green awning was approved with no other issues?
That's correct. Well, we wanted a little bit higher stone.
Right, that was the only thing we had found was maybe the stone at the bottom was more, a little taller and inconsistent.
Did you do the approval on the building?
Yes. Well, just the approval to move forward.
Did you?
Yeah.
So did you say this has been
Did you?
denied once?
I know originally you had it as orange. I think in that last meeting we changed it to, and we wanted another color. I think that orange,
More of an earth tone.
or more of an earth tone.
It's always been green.
Or I mean, originally I think there was some comment about it being orange, or in a previous DRB. And, but,
And that was the same picture that you
Same
brought?
picture. I did it.
okay.
I know what I submitted.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I mean, if the, I mean, it looks fine with the tide sign. I can't picture all the other awnings in the.
Yeah, I think there was a blue, Aldi's got some blue, I think,
That's their color scheme,
and
I think.
MTB.
It does.
So it's, you know, it wasn't just all browns and beiges and everything over
I mean,
there.
Did you guys have a problem with the orange before?
I seem to remember a discussion of colors, but maybe it wasn't over that awning.
It may not have been.
We had a discussion about the Bobby G's behind it and the color of that awning. There was a huge discussion about that, not wanting multiple colors of options on the same buildings, obviously it's an out parcel, but if it looks good symmetrically and
Yeah.
from a color standpoint, based on the marketing concept of the building.
I mean, you got Target.
So the
across
color is
street.
exactly the same as the Tide logo, is that correct?
That is correct.
So really, it's,
You know, the only thing is, I just like to kind of look at stuff before I kind of give a thought on it, and I haven't looked at the other buildings around it. Would you mind coming back next month?
We can do that.
I mean, I just would like to just go out and I just like to look at and just see what it is, or, you know, what's around it. I know that may sound a
This
little.
only came up as a side issue, like, we're happy
Yeah.
that we're moving forward.
I mean, I don't want to inconvenience you to come back, but I just would like to look and see what, you know, what the other buildings look like. Is there a theme there, kind of in that area with you know, the tones?
There is no theme.
Yeah, it was a little bit random, and then you're right across from the Target, so you got a whole nother set of colors.
Right.
Okay.
You
That's
don't
fairly
know.
you got NTB that's in
I
there.
mean, I'm
It is
fine
fairly
with whatever you
random.
guys, I mean, you guys have studied it a little bit more.
There's an NTB in that same, as an out parcel in that same area.
Yeah, this is gonna be kind of now out in the middle. They built that back one, and these lots are the ones right in the middle. Kind
I think it'd be okay.
of. Yeah, I think
You
it
think right?
would be.
I think it'll be okay.
Make a motion?
You make that a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the colors, orange.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made and second to approve the color requested. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
I need to recognize him.
Did you want this,
Yeah, give me time to show that. Oops. Did it get to you?
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you for giving me
Sure. Kathy, are there any more? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Are there any more motions or anything else that,
I just have a little business,
okay, so
but there's nothing else.
on the, so should we close the meeting now and then go to your business?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion, we close the meeting.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.